Hi, I'm Owen, the host of the Australian Finance Podcast. This podcast is proudly sponsored by BetaShares, one of the leading providers of ETFs here in Australia. Serving thousands of financial advisors and over 1 million investors, BetaShares manages tens of billions of dollars on behalf of investors right across the country. I'm proud to partner with BetaShares on the Australian Finance Podcast, Australia's premier financial podcast, because there is great alignment in the long-term philosophy shared by both businesses. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Australian Finance Podcast. Hey Mel, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Hey, thanks for having us here in your apartment in Sydney. It's lovely.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, it's our pied-à-terre, so I love it.
Yeah, it's great. I can see the bridge in the background, and we're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about restarting, accelerating your wealth journey, advice that you would have for so many different people. And we've had you on the show many years ago. We've spoken since. You're a prolific writer. You've got your community, social media, multiple time author.
And another one coming out in February, which I have just sent off to the publisher. So.
Oh, wow. Another one. Okay. So we'll wait for that one then. Former financial advisor, accountant, multiple time founder. You've really just done it all.
Yeah.
And doing it all.
Some interesting words in there that I am very glad to have left the back behind me.
Yes.
Accountant, a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you still help so many people with money. I would like to focus on your journey for people who haven't heard it. Mm-hmm. When did you figure out that you needed to be good with money?
So I'm a Western Sydney chick, and I definitely didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. It was a wooden spoon. My dad was an accountant, but we didn't talk about money growing up. And he retired early, and I have no idea how he did it. Or I did have no idea how he did it. I do now because we just didn't talk about it. And at age 33, I divorced my first husband, and I call him that to keep my second husband on his toes. And what I realised is that even though I was a finance professional, so I was an accountant then, not a financial advisor, I made a really stupid emotional mistake, which was to give all of my divorce proceeds to charity.
And is that what you did?
That's what I did. It's because he had turned to me and said that I'll never make it on my own. And as a result of that decision, I then had to very quickly figure out how to do money well for me. So I knew how to do business. I knew how to build businesses, but I did not know how to invest. I didn't know I wasn't earning enough. So I really had to very quickly know how to do money.
Wow. So what was like in that immediate rebuilding phase, what actually did you do? Like what steps did you take? Did you read books? Did you speak to people?
Yeah, it was interesting because this was many years ago. So there was no podcast, there was no YouTube, there was no social media. So there wasn't the tools now that we have that I love that we have now. So yes, I read books. I asked questions of smart people that I knew. So I rang some smart friends, but I also just tried to put the fire out, I guess. So I moved into a frat house with 4 mates to remove the cost of housing. I put myself into a coaching program for business because I was barely making a commercial wage. So I was busy trying to escape my life, not earning enough. And then I started to learn about investing.
Yeah.
And back then there was no apps that you could download and invest. So I talked to my dad about how frustrated I was that I didn't know how to invest. And he said, "Oh, I invest. I could put you in touch with my broker." And that was the first time I knew that someone in my family invested in shares.
Yeah, wow.
And from that, I then started investing badly because the broker was all about mining shares, which now I wouldn't invest in.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh, okay, if you're a professional and you're telling me to do this, of course I will. And realised when Julia Gillard made her mining tax announcement overnight, the value of my shares plummeted and really made me realise that you can't just rely on finance professionals. You need to research and understand what's right for you and made me really double down on understanding money and being smarter about it.
Yeah, for sure. If we could fast forward to today, you've got this wonderful program that you run with the team. How many, it's predominantly women, but how many people have taken that now?
So we've had over 5,000 people go through it. So that's individual purchases, but there's probably 10,000 people when I add couples, because lots of women buy it. And then once they get to a particular point, their partner will go, oh, okay, maybe I should be interested in this as well. Families, so kids do it as well, which I love. Plus we've got our Investing in Shares Masterclass and a whole bunch of freebies that we've had almost 50,000 people do. So It's a really cool influence that we've been able to have on those lives.
Do you still do I feel like I remember seeing you doing something with chocolate when someone would sign up.
And I'd put a chocolate frog in the jar. I loved doing that initially, but the problem, Owen, was I was then left with hundreds and hundreds of chocolate frogs.
I was going to say.
Which was really problematic, so I had to stop doing it or I'd be at risk of diabetes.
It's actually incredible to see. And when I speak to people in the industry, they just look at what you've done there and they're just like, that is incredible. It's really incredible. Why do people do the course? Like, why do people enroll in the program? Like, what is it that they're coming to you to help them with?
I think from my experience, it's lots of many different people, but it's two very different people. One are people that are quite deeply in debt and can't see a way out and just want someone to show them that it's possible, to share strategies and to say, hey, this is your way out. But then we have other people who actually have a good income but not much to show for it, or are really worried that they're not going to have enough and just want someone they know that they've got the ability within them. They just want someone to help draw it out. So, and that includes finance professionals. That includes, we've had ex-billion-dollar CEOs. We've had accountants. We've had so many different women. We've had single mums. We've had victims of DV. We've had couples. Like, there are so many different stories that we've had through our course. But I guess the underlying thing for every single one of them is that they realize that they didn't learn this at school. They don't want to pay someone thousands of dollars. And that might come, and for some of them, they do go on to see a financial advisor. But what they want before that is just that agency to know, you know what, I can do this myself.
Yeah, I think that kind of we see that as well, in the sense that people need to be financial advice ready is probably the phrase that I'd used. Yeah. So a lot of people, there's a lot of overwhelm going to see a finance professional. And let's be honest, the industry hasn't painted itself in glory. And that's why I see a lot of people do go to like more coaching style things, group coaching style things. And I think as an industry, that's really positive because it activates people and gets them thinking about things.
Yeah.
There was, in your book, Budgets Don't Work, I remember reading this. I think it was in Budgets Don't Work. I don't know, because I read a few of your books. It was like the middle pages had this kind of table around money personalities.
Yeah, budgets don't work.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember looking at the different personalities and one of them was like a pragmatist, and I could see that in like my parents. Yeah. And there were ones where like, if you worked hard, if you did this, and I was kind of more the investor type of personality.
Yep. No surprise.
Yeah. I'm wondering like how important it is for someone listening to this to understand their personality type when they try and understand their behavior with money.
So for our course, you do create your own financial plan. You do understand how much is enough. You do understand how to invest. But the first week is all about your money story and your money type. Because I truly believe that unless you know who you are, it's really hard to then understand what is right for me. So for example, I met with a couple yesterday. So they're over in New Zealand, and they said that understanding each other's story and their type has fundamentally changed how they deal with each other with their finances. Because he used to look at her and go, you just do it wrong.
Yeah.
And she used to look at him and think, you are just so safe. It's ridiculous. Like, can't you just try a little harder? And he now realizes she's a creative that has ADHD. So add that in as well. And she's not trying to be unsafe. That's just how she expresses herself. She's impulsive. If he gamifies her finances, which is what we talked about yesterday, she is going to absolutely run with that. Whereas for her, it's understanding, I'm not trying to put the handbrake on. I just need to feel safe.
Yeah.
So we might be able to do that with a buffer account with a certain amount of money in it, that if I've got that, then go nuts with your investing because I feel safe.
Yeah.
So by Relationships Australia says money is the number one thing we fight about in couples. We fight about it twice a month. So if we can understand each other and come at that curiously rather than judgmentally, then that just means we can talk about so much more when it comes to money.
So it's kind of like understanding the root causes, because like what you see today might be like the outcome, but like what led to that in the first place. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I love that idea of gamifying money. Like that workaround is really, really cool. What about like, say, for people that like oftentimes in like the content that we produce, Mel, will have like advice for people in their 20s, advice for people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and so on. How do you think about that?
Just let me get my soapbox out for a moment.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. So, you know, when my grandparents were alive, there was a well-worn path. There was one path. You left home, you met someone, you got married, at which point she stopped working, you bought a house, you had kids, at which point she still stopped working. He stays with the one company, gets a gold watch, they get the pension, finish. Like, it's just really clear. Whereas now there are thousands of paths and thousands of options for us within those paths. So if I lined up 3 or 10 30-year-olds here, there might be a single. There might be someone who wants to retire at 40. There might be someone who's had kids at 20. There might be someone who doesn't want kids. There's so many different iterations. So the idea of let's pop you in a box based in your age just doesn't work anymore. And that's why I believe in figuring out what's important to you. So goals-based finances rather than age-based finances.
I like that. And it's because like, I feel like it's in a big way, it's like personal finances are very personal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How about for if someone was starting again after a big life event?
Yeah.
So say, for example, like divorce might be one thing, death, loss of jobs.
Sickness.
Yep. Yeah, so many different things.
Yep.
Is there like a practical framework, or just how do you think about that? You have so many people pass through your community that would be in that situation.
Yeah.
What advice would you have?
Well, I think it's really important to take stock. So to look at what's coming in, what's going out, and really immediately figure out, are there conversations that need to be had? So if I'm sick, if I'm divorced and I can't pay my rent or my mortgage next week, I need to know that now. So it's understanding what's coming and coming out so that you can make those hard choices. I think you need a great team in place of professionals, whether that's a financial planner, an accountant, a coach, just so that I know with me and so many others that I've worked with over the years, you make really bad decisions during that time because you either want to burn everything down or you're scared or you're a whirlwind of emotions. So having that person that you can go to run decisions past to say, is this okay? If I'd had that, I'd be in a very different financial place and I would have made different financial decisions. So I think having 12 months of that is really smart. And from there, it's figuring out, well, if it is a sickness, this is seasonal, so how can I protect myself financially? What do I need to put in place? If it's a divorce, how do I rebuild? That might mean, we've had people in our community that have stripped the entire cost of housing out and either shared house or minded a house for 2 years so that they could rebuild, so they had options. And then understanding that eventually rebuilding doesn't just mean getting rid of expenses. It's about investing again. So being really smart about choosing to do that.
I really like that the way you framed that as like, it's kind of like having an action plan and I feel like this is the value of a plan. The plan is most valuable when things seem out of control.
Yeah.
Because it gives yourself confidence to know, well, my former self was going to do this, or someone suggested this seems like a reasonable step to take.
And that's one of the reasons so many people take my course, is to give themselves that literacy around, okay, so it's not what it was.
Yeah.
So what do I do? Knowing that I didn't learn this at school, I don't have conversations about it. Great. Let's put a plan together.
If we go back like so if that's the event and then there's like the plan that comes after, you've been through that event yourself, right? So ideally someone doesn't have to get to that point, let's say.
It would be nice not to.
Yeah. So what, like financially speaking, the question is like around safeguards that people can put in place, whether say it's just financially, what could they put in place to make sure that if that should happen, it is easier, if that makes sense?
So I think it's really important. So let's talk divorce. I think it's really important that you understand what's going on in your household. So the stats are that a lot of women are involved with the day-to-day household decisions and not with investing, the long-term investing. So 90%, I think it's like 67% aren't involved with the long-term investing decisions. So if you don't know what's going on in your household, then and I say when because 1 in 2 marriages fail, but if something was to happen, then you're already on the back foot. You don't know what it looks like and you don't have that financial agency to do something about it and to make great decisions. So that's why I think no matter what you can do to protect yourself now is to build that financial agency, build that financial knowledge, decide to be involved and not abdicate it to someone else or think, you know what, future me's got this or my partner's got this. Like it really is important that you're involved.
Yeah. Do you see a lot of couples that manage money separately?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like 10 or 20 years ago that was not nearly as common as it is today. Do you think that would be fair?
I agree. And I think part of it today is more blended families and more and disparate goals. Interestingly, there's a lot of stats around, if a woman earns more than their heterosexual male partner, her risk of DV goes up by 30% the minute you earn $1 over. Lots of stats that are coming out around how uninvolved women are with those long-term decisions. So I think there is a movement for couples to go, you know what, this is uncomfortable. It's not even uncomfortable for some people, it's unsafe. So let's just keep it separate. And that way maybe I can protect myself either consciously or unconsciously. And certainly with some high earning income that I know, women that I know, they're purposefully keeping it separate because they just don't want to, they know intrinsically their husband has a problem with them earning more. So they think, you know what, it's just easier. I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, fair. I see that a lot now. And I actually think that's for many relationships, it's such an advantage. Like it actually makes them stronger, makes them both better with money. So there are definitely because that would have, if we said that like 10 years ago,
it would be more unusual.
Yeah. But
I think it's good to do both. I want to be doing stuff with my partner, so I'm building something with them.
Yep.
But I also want to have that separateness because my risk profile is completely different to his.
Yeah.
So I don't want him to handbrake
that.
Yeah. So I think together and separate is really important.
Yeah. What would you say to women in particular who potentially maybe are listening to this in 40s, 50s, 60s, and they haven't taken that kind of investing approach? They don't understand that. Like, I think some people would be thinking, well, maybe I've missed the boat or, those types of things?
There's a real ageism, particularly with women and money. And I don't know, I'd be curious to see if you've had this. So if ever I talk about 30-year timeframes, I could put the kettle on and it's going to happen. I will get a DM from someone in their 40s, 50s, 60s, occasionally 30s, always a woman, saying, but I don't have that long to invest. Do you get that from the blokes?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had that.
And I see that as a real ageism with women and money, where because of lookism and, you have to be a particular way at a particular age, we're putting these standards on ourselves that are just ridiculous. And if I've got a new book coming out next year, and I'm really spending a lot of time thinking and writing about this, because it's something that I'm seeing that I don't think the blokes are doing.
I've never ever had that pushback.
Yeah, 40s, 50s particularly. And my response is always, so women are outliving the blokes, so we're living to 88. Yeah. I intend to live to 100 and I want to live well. So if I'm 50, I've got a good 38 years to invest still. And the next answer is almost always, but with what? And my response to that is, well, it's about understanding how to find more money. And I think, again, that's a skill that women particularly are bad at, which is why I've got freebies and resources that is all about how to find more money. So 20 plus ways to find 10K in 12 months is a freebie on my site. Because if you know how to find an extra couple of $100 a month, that then is money that you can invest regularly, even when you stop working, so that, women particularly are going to have less super when we're older. And this is a way of supplementing that.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to have to send this conversation to some of the women in my life that I know that would really benefit from that kind of mentality around it. Yeah.
It's a real ageism, I feel, with women that we carry in our 40s and 50s, where we think we're past it. And we really have to combat that and ask, what is that all about? And to choose to invest anyway. Yeah.
What about so if we talked about savings buffers and things like that, do you think just generally, I don't know how to ask this the right way, so I'll just ask it plain speaking. Do you think women generally are more prone to neglecting their finances, or the opposite? Or
I think it depends. I think that we have an idea around women, how women behave, because that's how they're presented in TVs and movies. Certainly, I think it's that whole monkey see, monkey do, where we see that, so therefore it's, of course we're going to behave like that. And then words like girl math, etc. come. Certainly, what my experience is that a lot of women are great at saving. They have buffers, but they're also being targeted with buy now, pay later and afterpay and different things. So they're doing things thinking it's good for them, or that, oh no, this is a budgeting app, or no, these points are harmless, and not realizing how that's putting them behind.
Yeah.
So they might have savings, but they don't have investing.
Yep.
Or they don't have debt and they think that's great, but they don't have super. So it's realizing just because you don't have this doesn't mean then you stop.
Yeah.
Or just because you've got 10 grand in the bank, that doesn't mean we now don't invest.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, don't stop. Accumulate those assets.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we're recording this a little bit ahead of when there's a big special event going to be taking place here in Sydney. And by the time people listen to this, they should, I hope, be aware of it. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, so we had an idea last year, Lawsy and I, over red wine on a Friday night, which is when all the best ideas come into place, of holding a full-day conference for hundreds and hundreds of women and any of their partners that would like to come along. And we're calling it Her Wealth, Her Way. So it's not chick light, as I like to call it. It's the sort of event where I want to paint a world of, well, what if the world of finance was created by women for women? What could that look like? What conversations might we want to have? And yes, we're going to talk about mindset, but we are going to hear from female economists. We're going to hear from female property experts. We're going to hear from incredible blokes that I love that are mortgage brokers. There's going to be financial planners. You're going to hear from investing apps. You're going to hear from relationship experts and so much more. So it's a whole day where by the end of it, you're going to walk out going, wealth isn't a dirty word. Because I know if I called it her money, her way, people would feel really comfortable with it. Women would, and they would turn up. But I called it her wealth, her way, because I want to challenge women that it's actually okay to be wealthy. Yeah. That this is something that it's okay for us to want, because money and wealth just gives choice.
Yeah, for sure it does. So this is going to be a massive event.
It is. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, so that is really exciting. And I think that, I can't wait to see it all taking place. We'll also put in links I should mention, to all of the things, the programs, the freebies, all that sort of stuff. So if you do want to take up more of what Mel's offering for free, please go and take advantage of it now. I've only got a couple more questions for you, Mel, but one of them is if someone is listening to this, they're a bit overwhelmed by just getting started. Like we have so many people that listen to the podcast for years and they don't take the action, even the basic steps. What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, listening to a podcast isn't taking action. Too many people think it is. Like, I've downloaded something, I'm listening. Yes, I'm doing something about my finances. No, you're not. So I would say, what's the quick win? And the quick win might be, okay, so I want to start investing, but what if I didn't do it with a lot of money? What if I only invested it with $100 a month just so I start to feel comfortable? What would that look like? And put a deadline on it and just start. Or maybe my quick win is to find more cash to put towards some bad debt that I've got. So often it's how we create action is how can I have something that gives me that dopamine hit, that I can see that momentum happening, put a date in your diary and just start.
Love it. Now we have mentioned a lot of different resources that you have available. You've got an amazing community around you. I would like maybe for you to just call out a couple of them. Like, you've written a couple of books, you've got one on the way. If someone wants to get a taste of what you work on, which book would you suggest that they pick up and why?
I'd love to say Unbleep Your Finances, but it's actually we've completely sold out, which is exciting, and they're reprinting it for January next year. So maybe the Audible of that.
Yep.
Come and check out the freebies on my website. I've got everything from why you don't just want to pay off your mortgage, you also want to invest, why credit card points aren't worth it. So all these myths that we carry, so we've got case studies on those, so come and play with those.
Okay. What about your My Financial Adulting Plan?
Yeah, so come and check that out as well. So we've got wait lists for those, and we launch 4 times a year. So you can come and play with that. I usually run a webinar before it, so you can check me out.
Cool.
Yeah, we do something special each round. So this round, for example, Lucy's got some time on her hands. So we're offering 30-minute free one-on-ones for everyone in this round. So it's just being aware of what you need and joining the round that suits.
Great. Once again, I'll pop links in there. I do want to say a special thanks for having us here today, but also because you've got your leg up. It's just off camera, but I think it's worth mentioning that you're very brave for what you've gone through over the last little while to come and even just to come out here and have a chat with us. We really, really appreciate it, Mel.
You're so welcome. So I think the final thing that I would say because of that is I had if you haven't had your skin checked in the last 12 months, to go and do it. I've had a skin cancer cut out. It's my 7th one. And part of wealth for me is this was a $5,000 operation that when they told me 3 months ago I needed it, I had the wherewithal just to pay it initially rather than go to a free skin cancer clinic where I've seen the results and they're not as pleasing.
Yep.
So skin cancer, it's Cancer Awareness Month as we're chatting. So if you haven't had a skin cancer check and you live in Australia, please go do it.
I think that it illustrates what you care about and how you want to help people, but also that you're pretty darn strong to be sitting here without any painkillers, just, doing that. So, Mel, this has been a wonderful catch up. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend it with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's always nice to catch up.
Thanks for watching this video on the Rask Network. While you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get videos each and every day on business, finance, investing, and so much more.